So when Prime Minister Modi went to see President Obama, he said, "Mr. Prime Minister, Kemcho," that's how we greeted him. And then he said, "We cannot match the rock star reception that you received at Madison Square Garden." And Secretary of State John Kerry, he repeated the same words to Prime Minister Modi, that we cannot match the Madison Square Garden rock star reception that you received. So even they recognized that the reception that he received was just spectacular.
Before Wembley event, when we went to meet Prime Minister Cameroon and to formally invite him, even though it was almost decided, and it was a Diwali day and there was a Diwali celebration in 10 Downing Street. So we were given a private audience to him, some of us, and he very bluntly told us that, "I heard that you are telling me that you are going to have Prime Minister Modi's reception at Wembley Stadium and 60,000 people would come. If I go there, I won't be able to bring even 1,500 people in the Wembley Town House." So this is the kind of appeal. In London at Wembley Stadium, there was a huge program, and because we were not allowed to use the ground, everyone was in the balcony, and the people who were sitting very front of, even though there were giant LED screens were there, everyone wanted to see Prime Minister from the near side. So we planned that after the event is over, he will take a tour, what they call it as a victory lap in the sports event. So that, and he greets everyone, and everyone will be able to see him closely. So we initially thought that we will take him into the car, but somehow it didn't work because we couldn't get that open car which will be suit to her stature. So we were really worried how it will happen, and we described this issue to him before the event, and he said, "Okay, tell me what is the option?" So we said that only option is to walk. He said, "I have no problem." I said, "But it was such a giant stadium that walk was more than 1.2 kilometers, that whole circle." I said, "But it is close to 1.5 kilometers from your dais to come back to your car." And he said, "I have no problem, I am fine." And then he walked, and that actually created a lot of buzz around.
We were talking with Dr. Jaishankar, who was the ambassador of India to USA. People, of course, wanted to have a photograph with Modi ji. And if you remember, when he came in 2014, it was Chaitri Navratri and he was fasting. So at time of dinner, Dr. Jaishankar said, "Dr. Barai, he's fasting, he's not even taking water. Let's not have this program because it will put unnecessary strain on him." So we were disappointed, but I said, "I understand his health." So when he came for the dinner at the hotel, we went there and he called. He said, "Okay, let's bring them. I want to meet them and have a quick picture." So he took picture with almost 700 guests, even while he was fasting for Chaitri Navratri, right after the Madison Square Garden program. We collected by donations, and our directive was not to take any corporate funds. The money had to come from Indian diaspora only. Our initial estimate was $1.2 million in expense. It turned out to be 1.5. But we collected over 1.85. So we had almost $330,000 in excess funds. And since we had collected for function which was going to be for him, we thought that it's fair that we ask him, where should we use these funds? And you know what was his reply? He says, "Donate it for Swachh Bharat campaign in whichever you want."
In Nairobi, so I went there for the preparations of the program, and I was flying from there to Johannesburg because the next program was in Johannesburg. So early morning time at the airport, I was doing some small shopping there, And when I went to the payment counter, there was a black young guy, maybe in mid-20s, at the payment counter. So he curiously asked me from where you are. I said, I am from India. So he immediately said, as soon as I said India, he said, oh, Mr. Modi. So almost India is linked with his name. So I said, yes, Mr. Modi. Then this guy, who might not have any view or any insight of global politics, he said, you know, man, he is a great leader. Actually, these are his words. Oh man, he is a great leader. And you know, we will need 5-6 Modis to improve the world. So that is the kind of expectation he had from Mr. Modi. So to raise his curiosity, I told him that, are you aware Mr. Modi is going to visit Kenya? He said, no, he was not aware. Naturally, it was not announced publicly. But then what he said is very interesting. He said, if he comes here, I will take a day off only to take his picture. So much curiosity about him and so much enthusiasm to see him, even in the native population. So it is natural that Indian diaspora is curious about him, but the same amount of curiosity was also there in the local population.